When the rain hadn't stopped in 3 days, when the mountains themselves had surrendered to the sky and wept, when the rivers ran full and the creeks overflowed their banks, Elijah Moren finally arrived in the village of Glenroe Hollow. The fog was so thick, it seemed to slither between the branches of the ancient pine forest like smoke. His boots sank into the mud as he stepped off the rusted bus, gripping a water-stained envelope that had arrived weeks ago, addressed to him in handwriting he didn't recognize. Elijah was a rational man, a school teacher, skeptic, an orphan who had never known his birth family. But something in the phrasing of the letter, the way it had found him despite 3 address changes in 2 years, made him come. And now he stood before the house. It was deeper in the woods than he expected, a black shape behind pines so tall they creaked in the wind. The house was narrow and tall, its shingles flaking like dead skin, and the windows, all of them, had been painted black from the inside. But the front door was slightly open. The smell hit him first. Damp rot, like something old and wet buried too long underground. Inside, the house was silent, no dust, no cobwebs, as if someone had cleaned just enough to make it look abandoned. Elijah stepped onto the wooden floorboards and felt something give beneath his boot. But when he looked, it was solid. The staircase ahead curled upward like a broken spine. On the first floor, he found nothing but old furniture covered in black sheets. A broken grandfather clock. A mirror that reflected the hallway behind him. But not him. He stared. Still nothing. Then behind him, the sound of soft, wet footsteps on wood. He turned, no one. But the mirror now showed him. And behind him, a flash of red light. Like eyes. Upstairs, he found the family room. The walls were covered in photographs, each one slightly burned around the edges. Elijah stepped closer. Faces. Dozens of them. Some smiling, some blurred, some scratched out with something sharp. One photo showed a woman holding a baby, her eyes wide with terror, despite the soft expression on her face. The child was strange. Its proportions wrong, its skin pale, almost translucent. Behind the photos, writing. Dozens of overlapping phrases carved into the wallpaper beneath. Do not feed the boy. He never sleeps. Mirror is a gate. Do not reflect after midnight. The basement breathes. Elijah's breath caught as he leaned in. Then he heard a noise from beneath the floor. A low, rhythmic thump, like breathing. He checked his watch. It was 11:37 p.m. The rain was heavier now. Somewhere deeper in the woods, a dog barked, then yelped, then silence. Elijah stayed in the house. At 11:59, he returned to the mirror downstairs. The letter said, before the 23rd, and the 23rd began in 1 minute. The reflection was normal. Then, as the second hand hit 12 o'clock, something changed. The reflection froze. He moved, but his mirrored self did not. It just stared at him, mouth slightly open, as if trying to scream through glass. Then it smiled. And behind it, in the mirror, the door to the basement opened. There had been no basement door before, but now it stood open in the back of the hallway. A narrow, crooked staircase led down into pitch black. The smell was stronger now. Mold, blood, and something else. Elijah lit his lighter. The flame flickered wildly as he descended, the steps groaning beneath his weight. Halfway down, the flame turned blue. At the bottom, a room made entirely of stone. Strange runes carved into every surface. In the center, a crib. Inside it, a bundle wrapped in dirty cloth. He stepped closer. The bundle moved. Elijah reached out. The cloth was damp and warm. He pulled it back, Inside, a face, a copy of his own face, pale and silent, with eyes wide open, not blinking. Then it opened its mouth and whispered, "You came too late." The whisper turned into a scream, not of pain, but of recognition. All the lights in the basement burst at once, and in the flicker of the blue flame, Elijah saw shadows lining the walls. Dozens of them, tall, childlike figures, watching, breathing, and all of them had his face. He ran up the stairs, but the steps stretched like a dream. No matter how fast he moved, the top of the stairs never got closer. Behind him, the whispering grew louder. A chorus of "Stay, stay, stay." Then a voice deeper, colder, said, "The mirror opened. The blood is returned. The boy is whole." And Elijah fell. When he awoke, he was in the upstairs bedroom. Daylight streamed through the windows. But something was wrong. The trees were closer. Too close. He stood and looked outside. The forest had moved. The pines now pressed against the house on all sides, trunks scraping the walls, as if trying to climb in. In the mirror above the bed, someone had written in breath, "It saw you. Now you belong." And in the reflection, the same bedroom, but empty, except for the eye. A massive, blinking eye, watching from behind the glass. And beneath it, the same crib, still moving. He tried to leave. The front door led only to more hallways. Windows opened into other rooms. The house had folded in on itself, a recursive trap. In the kitchen, the sink poured black water. On the stove, a teapot, whistling. Inside it, boiling, a finger. The mirror in the hallway cracked. A voice from inside said, "Come back to bed, Elijah. You never left." And he saw, in flashes, memories he never had. A childhood in the house. Parents with black eyes. A brother that never aged. Himself feeding something in the basement. Then, the final flash of a birth. His birth in that very house. To something not human. The villagers say the house burned down years ago. They say no one goes past the black pines anymore. But every so often, a stranger arrives. A letter in hand. Drawn to something they don't understand. And if you listen, at night, deep in the trees, you can still hear the breathing. And if you're very quiet, you'll hear the mirror whisper your name. All right, that was a scary story. I hope you liked it. If you did, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and ring the bell.